Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing moon-pluto aspects as they occur in the natal chart. Now the moon represents our nurturing figure. Whoever did this in our life, it could be our mother, it could even be the father, it could be our aunties, it could be anyone. It's how we experience nurturing as a child. How our needs, it represents our needs, how we meet them as well, how they are met by our nurturing figure. And as it also represents a part of our unconscious, some of which happened even when we were in the womb, before we even uttered our first words. It represents all those unconscious memories that we may not even remember, like if we tried, but they're somewhere stored within our body. Pluto represents the underworld. Pluto represents the things we are ashamed of, the things we bury. Pluto represents how we find transformation. It represents how we find rebirth. It represents the part of us that destroys only for something new to be created from the ashes, rising from the phoenix. So when the moon is in aspect to Pluto, it can cause a lot of potential experiences, and one of them is hiding a lot from your emotions, hiding a lot from your needs, not knowing how you feel, not knowing how to meet your needs. And that can be as a result of growing up around a nurturing figure who made you feel ashamed to express your needs, who made you feel ashamed to seek nurture. Maybe they acted like you were disturbing them when you were crying, or when you showed that you needed them for something. They acted like you were bothering them, or maybe they showed some extreme emotional outbursts to inform you that you mustn't disturb them, or that what you're feeling is wrong and that you have to be tougher. A lot of people with moon-pluto aspects experience this. They felt that their emotions were wrong and they were made to feel ashamed of them, so they resorted to burying their feelings a lot, burying their needs, trying to disconnect themselves from nurture. And because their nurturing figure engaged so much in trying to control them, because this is actually an act of control. If you keep reprimanding someone for how they feel or for seeking nurture, they are used to that. So even them in relationships, they seek to control others because they never really experienced true nurture without much judgment. So in relationships, they can be very controlling of their partners because they don't want anything that will surprise them. They want to keep everything under control. So they want to predict their partner, and it's a form of manipulation. Their partner has to do what they want because that's what makes them feel safe, control, which is actually very strange, right? In astrology, the moon is in its fall in Scorpio, and Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So moon-pluto aspects can really hinder the expression of the moon, because moon connected to Pluto or Scorpio energies limits the full nurturing that the moon should receive, because instead of nurture, there's a seeking for control. So the emotion is not allowed to flow freely. It's about holding it together. That's a very straining thing to do constantly. And the moon-pluto people, they are controlling others, but the most control they are doing is to themselves. They're always thinking of their emotions and how they will be perceived, because they were never left to feel safe, completely safe, to express how they were feeling, to express their needs properly, to allow themselves to be nurtured. So partners may find them hard to reach. Like, I don't know you don't know what they're feeling, you don't know what they need, this can create problems. Like, there's a feeling like you're being dishonest, or people will be suspicious of you. What are you hiding? They don't know what you're hiding. So then the first thing is to start being suspicious of you because you look like you're hiding something, and which you are. You are hiding your emotions, or you're hiding your needs. You're trying to control everything, and this hinders intimacy. Relationships, whether friendships or relationships with your spouse, are about the intimacy. And Moon Pluto hinders intimacy. There's a desire for control. So it's like you have to peel someone's layers slowly by slowly. And if you find a partner who loves you, they may be willing to do that. But some people will just be like, hey, this is a lot of work. I can't do this. And you can't really blame them for that. With Moon Pluto, you have to learn vulnerability. You have to really learn how to let people in. Because if you don't, you yourself feel like you feel isolated. You feel deserted. And the other person also feels deserted and isolated because they're like, where are you? I want, where are you? They're always searching for you, but you're keeping yourself closed off. So the desertion, you've deserted yourself somewhat by trying to keep some of your needs here. Like you want to keep some of your needs separate. You don't want to show them to anyone. You're trying to control things. It's an exhausting thing. So eventually you really have to, whether you're seeking therapy or you read psychology, you have to uncover those layers you put in place and process them step by step. Understand where these emotional patterns arose from and transmute them. And this is amazing. Why? Because Pluto rules transformation and rebirth. So having a Moon-Pluto aspect means that if you're truly dedicated, you can have an emotional rebirth. You can have many emotional rebirths where you get rid of those emotional habits, you get rid of those old instinctual habits which no longer serve you, so that you're not always approaching people from a suspicious state of mind and thinking they're gonna betray you. So when you process it, you get to choose your partners better. You get to choose people you can be vulnerable with, because the thing with these aspects in astrology is you keep choosing people who are similar to the people who raised you. So if your nurturing figure was controlling or judged you for your emotions and for your feelings, you get more comfortable around people who judge you or try to control your feelings. So that's the thing. And then it becomes a cycle where you were judged for your feelings as a kid, and then you meet a person who is similar to the person who raised you, and now you try to be vulnerable with them, and then they do the same thing where they judge you or try to control you, and then again you go back again to the same pattern of hiding yourself constantly and isolating yourself emotionally again. So it's a huge healing process. You have to understand your patterns. You have to understand the patterns of people who are like your nurturing figures, so that you don't keep choosing the people who re-traumatize you or who reignite those old patterns you are trying to dissolve. The other thing is being attracted to drama. I mean, growing up with Moon-Pluto aspects, the family environment or the environment around you and the nurturing figures were very intense. So this could be intensity through a lot of emotional outbursts, or intensity. They controlled you through emotion. So they could control you through rage, anger, even crying, trying to activate your sympathy, looking sad, or it could be manipulation through silent treatment. Silent treatment it's also an intense experience when someone is just not talking to you. So it's the Moon-Pluto is about being manipulated through emotions. Okay, so you are used to that most of the time, and so the relationships you're attracted to also involve these outrageous emotions or involve you being manipulated through guilt. The silent treatment is often about triggering guilt or shame. but it's still an intense way of manipulating someone's emotions. So if you find yourself always attracted to intense people who are always either on the verge of exploding emotionally, or who use other methods to make you feel guilty, who are always trying to manipulate your emotions through guilt or shame, that could be this aspect that is still alive in the negative form. So you'd have to stop choosing those people. You have to learn how to notice people who are prone to using emotion to get their way in life. Like, instead of having a proper discussion, an intellectual discussion where things are expressed in the open, they choose the route of emotional manipulation. You have to learn how to spot those people, and you yourself, you'd have to read yourself and see, do you also do that? Do you use your rage or silent treatments or guilt to twist people within? Because like sometimes attracts like. So you involve yourself in that process, and you can understand that you don't need these intense adrenaline rushes from an unpredictable emotional environment around you all the time. You don't need to be around friends or partners who are like this. You can actually have people who are rational or more healthy. And if you haven't healed, for some people who haven't healed from this aspect, who aren't yet showing the positive expression, people who are healthy can seem boring to you. There's just no drama. There's no, you're used to having your emotions stirred, and now this person is just normal, and you're like, something is wrong. And it's also people with these aspects, they will create the drama. If things are just too calm and collected, they'll be like, yeah, let me start something. And it's not always conscious. That's the issue. Some people who have this will be conscious of starting things just to start things, but some of them will not. They won't know why they're angry. All of a sudden you're angry from nothing. And it's because you want that rush in your body. You're used to that. Your nervous system was always overstimulated as a child, and now you're used to that rush. You need a rush, and so you cause drama just to cause it, just to get something. You get the high, and then you ruin your relationships, and you don't know why your relationships are ending up in flames, but you are sometimes the cause. Of course, sometimes it's your partners who you've chosen the wrong partners, but sometimes it's you, because there are people who project their aspects, so they are not the explosive ones, but they get explosive partners. But anyway, you need to really read yourself and see where things go wrong. Okay. The thing about this aspect is you read people easily, because you spent a huge part of your life in the shadow, feeling a lot of shame, guilt, feeling outcasted emotionally, etc., feeling isolated, feeling like no one understands you. So you've been in that experience for a long time, and hence it's easy for you to see where someone is coming from, or to see what's causing their pain, to see how they can heal that pain. If you've gone on a healing journey, you will be able to understand how they can heal themselves better, be able to give better advice, because you have access to this underworld energy of Pluto, of transformation, of buried things. And so it's easy for you to be a psychologist, or to be a crime detective, or to be involved in secretive things, or things that require a lot of hidden understanding, the occult, even banking and investments, things that need you to understand the inner buried patterns of things. Secret agents, spies, investigative journalists, researchers can come from this aspect because of the strong connection to Pluto. They're able to see patterns easily, patterns of destruction, patterns of healing, patterns of shame, patterns of darkness, patterns of danger. They could be strong, they could be easily, they could easily feel danger in their environment. They feel the undercurrents in their environment easily, what other people around them are feeling, even if those people don't say it, because growing up they had to read their environment a lot, because they had to know what was happening so that they can know how to behave and how to behave immediately. So they had to always analyze the people around them, their facial expressions, their gestures, their walking style, so they easily perceive the energy of the environment they're in. So all they have to make sure is that they're not absorbing other people's shadows. And this can happen a lot with a Pisces moon, or a moon which is also connected to Neptune, or Neptune placements can lead you to absorbing other people's shadows. So you take in other people's dark emotions and take them as your own, and then you act them out. And then it can be a very bad pattern. And the people like this can really take on the shadows of the people around them. Maybe if the people around them are mean and not very good people, they can absorb that, and then they become also a bad person, or they, so with this aspect you have to be very careful and make sure, also check if you have Neptune aspects, because that can really, you can be absorbing other people's pain, and then you are also start going through dark moods and brooding, and those are not even your emotions to begin with. The other thing is really watch, don't emotionally isolate yourself. Don't even, these people can be prone to self-isolation, where they're not seeing people often, because growing up in an environment where there was so much control, they seek detachment, and they feel that they can only experience detachment when they are by themselves. So when they're by themselves, they feel like no one is trying to control them emotionally and do such things, so they feel freer. But now it's just about choosing the right people to be around, because you don't want to be alone for a long period. That will mess with you, especially with moon Pluto, and how somehow you can just start focusing on the negative, because paranoia is another aspect of this aspect. Getting paranoid and suspicious of things that aren't even there, because you're acting from your shadow. You're acting from the things you experienced a long time ago. Now they're replaying themselves in your mind. And because the moon rules habit and patterns, those habitual patterns, your habitual patterns may keep going to suspicion and paranoia, because you have old patterns that you have not resolved, that because the people around you were suspicious or weird, so you keep expecting it, and you keep you're replaying those things subconsciously, and so now you can end up in a very paranoid state of mind. And then it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. You're acting suspicious also, because you're suspicious of others. Your behavior may also look suspicious to others, because by being suspicious to others, you may be having certain facial expressions, etc., that show distrust or show that you're hiding, and so other people expect that you're hiding something. Then they start behaving negatively towards you because they think you're hiding something. That's the problem with these aspects, is that they can keep reoccurring because you embody them, and then you attract the same thing. Yeah. So with Pluto, the idea with Pluto, for Pluto not to behave badly, as I would say it, is to keep exposing yourself to new environments and new people, and or to keep trying to embrace new mindsets. Because if you don't do that, when you explore new things, you experience more transformation and rebirth, which are the positive manifestations of Pluto. If you don't do that, Pluto keeps going back to those buried things, the deep buried stuff, the shadow, and it keeps activating that. So you keep living from the negative side of Pluto, which is not a very freeing experience. And that's how you get people who are so they're so angry, resentful, jealous, full of rage, because those patterns has taken a hold of them. And those are patterns that need to be transformed. Rebirth needs to be experienced so that they can experience emotional renewal, which I say that renewal is easier for people with moon Pluto. That emotional renewal is what is healthy for them. They need more to see more optimism in their life. Maybe surround yourself with people with a strong Jupiter or a strong Sun. Because that's how when you see the positivity in life, when you see the exuberance they are showing, maybe it can bounce back onto you. Or do Jupiterian activities or Sun activities, creative activities. That was all I was looking for. Find a nice hobby. Do exercise, a new exercise routine, dance, pottery, art, humanitarian work, voluntary work. Do something you love, something that makes you feel good. This is the moon, the emotion, feeling good would help you transform the shadow which is Pluto. And that's how you experience this emotional transformation. Moon Pluto needs a nice activity to put their all in, because they experience a lot of intensity in their emotions. So if you can have an activity that creates these beautiful emotions, these happy, exuberant emotions inside of you, that will help you transmute your shadow. And that is one good way to heal. Of course, read about trauma, read about psychology books, but also read about people who've had an amazing life, people who have a lot of optimism, people, that is one good way to embody this aspect nicely. And especially for women, this aspect is very important that you heal it, because the moon representing our femininity as women, if you don't heal this aspect, you may still feel like part of your femininity is blocked, because growing up you experienced a lot of judgment around it. Even the Trine aspects, it's easier for them to heal because there's an easy relationship with Pluto and the moon, but the themes are basically the same. There's still a lot of connection to the shadow and the underworld, and you have to do your best to transmute that shadow and make it your friend, and don't enact its negative influences, to transform its negative influences as often as you can. The Trine can also make it easy to embody the negative aspects, because it's an easy flow. So just because you have a Trine doesn't mean you don't put in the work, because you could be basically embodying the negative the shadow, because it's just an easy connection. You're just embodying those negative influences easily. And there's less tension because it's a Trine. So even with the Trine, you need to be more careful. But as I said, healing is possible, and I wish you all the best in your healing, all the people with these aspects. And if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe and like the video. I'll see you next time. Have a nice day. Bye.